Welcome everybody. So today we're taking a look at a film that has been purely inspired by the fact that you recently watched the Odyssey from Christopher Nolan, which is an absolutely superb film, favorite of the year so far. But it also did inspire me to look at what other Greek mythological films I have in my collection, and yeah, found two of them, and figured since I've not looked at them in the past or even talked about them in any regard, I don't think. I figured it was worth taking a shot. So yeah, this film is part of the Wonderful Worlds of Ray Harryhausen Volume 2 from 1961 to 1964, and it is 1963's Jason and the Argonauts. So yeah, this box set apparently is quite rare, despite 6,000 of them being made. This box set, for whatever reason, seems to go for ridiculous prices online. So it's a prized part of my collection, just like the first volume is, as well as the Sinbad trilogy box set that Indicator also released. And yeah, this film was directed by Don Chaffee, who also did 1 Million Years BC, who also had the genius that is Ray Harryhausen to help him do the effects like he did with this one. And it's an epic fantasy adventure clocking in at 104 minutes long. Stars the likes of Todd Armstrong, who was also in the likes of King Rat, which is an excellent film. Nancy Kovac, who was in Diary of a Madman and Marooned. Gary Raymond, who was in the fantastic Suddenly Last Summer. And finally, Lawrence Naismith, who was in a variety of films from like the 50s and 60s, like Village of the Damned, A Night to Remember. He played Captain Smith in that film. The Valley of Gwangi, another Ray Harryhausen film, and Eye of the Cat. So Jason, a fearless sailor and explorer, returns to his homeland of Thessaly after a long voyage to claim his rightful throne. He learns, however, that he must first find a magical golden fleece. However, to do so, he must embark on an epic quest fraught with fantastic monsters and terrible perils. So, there is plenty to like about this effort, but sadly, those positive elements are built on somewhat underwhelming foundations, as the plot, script, and acting are just about average, and they certainly don't make for a wholly engrossing experience. That said, the stop motion animation by Ray Harryhausen is great, especially when it comes to the skeleton fight, which is literally the last like 6 or so minutes of the film. But yeah, to execute that skeleton fight as well as he did is just absolutely superb. You can obviously see the influence of that fight with from Seventh Voyage of Sinbad, which had one skeleton, but in this skeleton fight there's 6 or 7, I think there is. And yeah, to coordinate all of those skeleton fighters alongside the live action cast, yeah, it's just absolutely sensational, and all of the behind the scenes stuff that you can see on online, or I think maybe even on this Blu-ray, is fantastic because he had to learn the fight scene without any skeletons, obviously, because they're stop motion animated, and then had to do it to the letter, to the T, so then the animation could be put alongside them and make it look like they're fighting one another. And yeah, it's absolutely glorious in that regard. There's also a couple of harpies, I believe, in this as well that are attacking a guy that is just simply wanting to eat. And yeah, and more besides. But yeah, it's definitely the skeletons at the end that really are the highlight of this film. There are also a couple of solid action scenes. I really rather like the score by Bernard Herrmann, who obviously most well known for working with the likes of Alfred Hitchcock as well, but he did a really rather good job on this. The production is overall well done. The sets and the land locales look good overall, and I like the fantasy world it inhabits. But sadly, the only truly memorable aspect of this are the effects, as everything else is either average or deeply underwhelming. So yeah, it's a good film. It gets a 3.5 out of 5, but yeah, it's not my favorite Ray Harryhausen anime. I know saying Ray Harryhausen effort is a bit reductive because obviously it's not just about him; it's about the actors and the director and such. But as far as I'm concerned, it's not my favorite Ray Harryhausen effort. I would put 1 Million Years BC below this though, and there's probably a one or two others that I might not like as much, but yeah, on the whole, this is a more right mid-table as far as Ray Harryhausen films go. But still, yeah, it's a really good release from Indicator as part of the box set overall. And yeah, also got reversible sleeve artwork, which I believe is the more original artwork. I've not had this out for a while because it's actually quite a stiff sleeve that, but obviously it is quite an old release. This one, it's came out in 2017, so nearly 10 years ago now. Um, But yeah, the film on this disc still looks fairly solid, even though it's obviously quite an old release. You had a 4K restoration from the original negative on the Blu-ray only, as it obviously has the DVD here as well. Original mono audio. Then you got the alternative 5.1 surround soundtrack, also on the Blu-ray only. And then you have audio commentary with Ray Harryhausen and film historian Tony Dalton on the Blu-ray only. Audio commentary with celebrated filmmaker Peter Jackson and visual effects artist Randall William Cook. Um, yeah, it looks like most of these extras are on the Blu-ray only, so I'm not going to continue saying that. But yeah, obviously a lot of well-known directors were highly influenced by Ray Harryhausen, not just Peter Jackson, but like James Cameron as well. So yeah, it's interesting to hear them talk about that kind of thing. Then you got the original skeleton fight storyboards revealing Harryhausen's original conception of the classic sequence. The Harryhausen Legacy from 2008, 25 minutes long. Special effects artists and filmmakers including John Landis and Joe Dante reflect on how Harryhausen's groundbreaking work has influenced them. Then you got Ray Harryhausen interviewed by director John Landis from 2008, 12 minutes long. Fascinating discussion between two filmmaking legends, which covers a number of topics, including Harryhausen's favourite scenes. And then you got the Harryhausen Chronicles from 1998. That's a 58-minute documentary exploring Harryhausen's career, narrated by Leonard Nimoy. That is also on the DVD as well. I imagine because it's quite an old looking extra there. Then you got theatrical trailer, additional trailers and TV spots. They're on the Blu-ray only, and then English subtitles for the deaf and hard of hearing. So yeah, a really good release. It is surprising though that more of Ray Harryhausen's films haven't been given, or any I don't believe have been given a 4K release. It could be due to the fact that the effects would not hold up as well upon that kind of 4K restoration. Although obviously this has had a 4K restoration from the original negative, but I believe if you then also apply that to a 4K disc with higher bitrate and whatnot, then it might well not stand up to scrutiny as well. But regardless, yeah, these are fantastic films just because of Ray Harryhausen's talent, imagination, and just dedication to the hard work, because it's not easy to do stop motion animation whatsoever, because you have to move it per frame and ever so slight adjustments, and if you get it wrong even slightly, then it's just not going to look right at all. So yeah, you really have to appreciate his massive work on this. I think does this have Talos on it as well? Yeah, I think Talos is in this film as well, and that's another iconic scene in this film, and more of a showcase for Harryhausen's amazing talent as well. So yeah, it's highly recommended that you try this out, especially if you did enjoy the likes of the Odyssey. I know full well that film has spurred off and massive increase in people gaining interest in the Odyssey in terms of its original poem, Homer's Odyssey. And the book adaptations of that work has soared in terms of popularity in light of that film being released. So yeah, hopefully that means other people will appreciate older films that also deal with Greek mythology. Obviously, we've also had the likes of was it Ophelia that was released recently via Radiance Films. I'm trying to see if I can find it anywhere. Which again is another kind of Greek mythology kind of film on the go, which I think was fairly solid, but whether or not I'm going to keep it or not, and that's why I can't find it, I don't know. But yeah, I do highly recommend checking out Jason and the Argonauts if you haven't already. And we'll be looking at one other film, also done with stop motion animation by Ray Harryhausen. It's also deeply embedded in the Greek mythology that has long since been used in many other films in the future. Not sure when that will come out, but yeah, looking forward to looking at that film as well. Top marks if you can guess which one that's going to be. But nonetheless, if you have seen Jason and the Argonauts, I'd like to hear your thoughts on it. But thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.